Hi, and welcome back to Stress, the podcast to develop your next workplace superpower. Here's your host, Julia Arndt, and I am so excited to record this podcast right now. I haven't been recording a personal update and podcast in many months. I know that you've been listening to me recording podcast interviews with really powerful, wonderful guests in 2021. I am so proud and so grateful for all of these amazing connections that I've been able to make over the year. And I really hope, obviously, that you've been enjoying these different conversations with people all over the world. So first of all, thank you so much for listening. And I know that you've also been able to get a little bit of an insight into my YouTube channel because I've been sharing videos here and there over the course of the last year as well to give you a little bit more insight into what I am doing on a weekly basis on my YouTube channel as well, and obviously help you with different topics on how to develop your next workplace superpower and stay productive sustainably. This is obviously my biggest goal for you. And yeah, I am really excited to record this podcast episode today because it is the last podcast episode of 2021. It is the last podcast episode of season 3 of the Stressed podcast. Yes, this is already the third completed year, and we are going with really big steps into 2022 and into season 4 of the Stressed podcast. It is an incredibly exciting time for me. And, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast over these years and for showing your interest in this so important topic. I wanted to share just a couple of personal updates with you today, and I wanted to just kind of close out 2021 with a personal note. So thank you so much for listening already. There's just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you, and so let's get started, I would say, with exactly that. Let's get started with the updates that I want to share with you. So first of all, I am super excited to share with you that the Peak Performance Planner is coming. It is coming at the end of January 2022, hopefully, if all of the shipping times and dates are staying intact. As you know, there's a couple of different challenges at the moment when it comes to international shipping, but I am planning to have the Peak Performance Planner available on Amazon by the end of January. And if you haven't really heard about the Peak Performance Planner just yet, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. I have created the Peak Performance Planner as one of my biggest projects in 2021 because I really believe in journaling. I think you've been hearing me talk about it a lot. I really believe in journaling about our feelings, in really setting clear priorities for work, and also practicing gratitude on a daily basis. And this has been something that has kind of come out of my programs that I've developed over the last 3 years, and asking people to do daily check-ins. And people were always pretty hesitant to do this because it is obviously maybe a lot to ask when you don't have at all a journaling practice to get into writing down some of the things on a daily basis. But every person came back to me after the program and said to me, wow, like this was the biggest change for me, actually, the biggest eye-opening moment, the moment where I created most of the awareness of what needs to change in my life because I took some time to actually reflect. And so this is really a hard project of mine. When I started my business in 2019, I already wanted to create a journal and a planner, but obviously these things take time, and 2021 was the right year to do this. And so I am super excited, beyond stoked to share the Peak Performance Planner with you in 2021. It will come in white and turquoise. And if you are curious to see it, make sure to either go to my website, peakperformancemethod.com, or come over on my Instagram account, Julia Arndt Coaching. And you will see a lot of things that I'm sharing about the planner in order to show you how am I using it on a day-to-day basis. The Peak Performance Planner is really designed for you to help you overcome burnout and create a life that you love. It is a planner that is not bound to a specific starting time. So it doesn't have to be January 1st, 2022 to start with it. It is really a planner that you can start at any point in time. And I'm super, super excited to share it with you. So that is the big announcement number one. Number two is that I wanted to share with you that in 2022, I decided to start again my Peak Performance Method program, 10 weeks of really diving really deep into transforming yourself and your habits live in the first week of February. So what does that mean? If you've been hearing me talk about the Peak Performance Method program, then you know what it is, but maybe some of you don't know what it is yet. So let me talk about that as well. The Peak Performance Method program is a 10-week program designed to help you develop your next workplace superpower. All of the things that I'm talking about on a weekly basis in my podcast is just, an inspiration for you to really start rethinking your life. And the Peak Performance Method program is really designed to help you do that step by step. 9 different components plus 1 week of pre-course where you can just, start to get comfortable with all of the different things that you will be able to learn over the consecutive 9 weeks. And the Peak Performance Method program is a program that you can purchase online, and it is an online program usually that it is designed to do at your own pace and at your own time. But I decided in 2022 I'm going to run a live program again because I know that it is a little bit more powerful to do this together with people, right? I think when we are doing an online program, then it is super, super easy to kind of fall off the bandwagon and tell ourselves, I'm going to do this next week and I'm going to do this next month and so on, but then you never really get to it. So by doing this program live together with you, I really hope that we are creating a lot of commitment and accountability to stick to it, which I know can be sometimes hard, especially if you are a peak performer and you have a super busy life. But I really encourage you to invest in yourself 1 to 2 hours per week for 10 consecutive weeks to really build new powerful tools. I have a lot of people that already went through the program over the last 1.5 years. I have done a study with BRAINTAP in order to show how powerful it is when you are actually focusing on yourself for 10 weeks and you are integrating all of these different tools into your day-to-day. So if you are curious to join us in February 2022, I would really, really love to have you. So come on by. I will share a lot of these details on my newsletter and also on my social media, Instagram. So if you are curious to learn more about that, and if you want to join us, make sure that you are signing up to get that information. So head over to my website, peakperformancemethod.com, sign up for the newsletter, and in the newsletter you will receive all of the information in order to participate in the Peak Performance Method program 2022. Of course, all of these sessions are going to be recorded, so if you're not able to join one of the sessions, you will be able to watch the recording afterwards. But like I said, the idea of doing it live together with you, which is also a really big commitment for myself because I have to show up every single week to do the live session with you, is to really encourage you to really start changing your life. We talk about it all the time. I talk a lot about it in the YouTube videos and in the podcast as well, that the biggest gap in life is between knowing things and doing things. You have been gathering a lot of information over the last couple of years listening to this podcast, but the question really is, have you started to make changes? Have you really started to take action? And just be honest with yourself. Maybe the answer is yes, maybe the answer is no, maybe the answer is something in between, and that's totally okay, right? We are all human beings. We are going through different phases in our lives, and I know it can sometimes be super, super daunting to know where to really start. And so the Peak Performance program is really help you design to get started. And so, I'm super, super excited about it. I'm super excited to meet all of you and to do this as a group together because there's so much power and so much energy behind doing this as a group. So hit me up. Let me know if you have any questions. You can obviously always come over to my Instagram account, send me a DM, or you can email me directly at julia@peakperformancemethod.com and find out more about the program as well. So those are the big big announcements for 2022. I am really excited for my 4th year in business. It's really almost incredible to believe that it's been 3 years now, 3 full complete years since I started my business. And, I really couldn't be more grateful and proud of how far I have come. I think we are not often taking the time to celebrate ourselves, but I want to take a moment to celebrate myself and celebrate you being here and listening to this podcast on such a regular basis. So thank you so much really for following me along on my journey. I know who you are, and it's just been such a wonderful development. And in the next year, in year number 4 of my business, I am really, really excited to expand. I think I've been really spending a lot of time over the last 3 years to just build programs, build the planner, build my social media content. And I really feel ready, I feel ready to grow and expand and build a bigger customer base and build a bigger community, because I know that more people need to hear this message. So if you have been listening to this podcast for a while and you find it really valuable, share this podcast with someone that's really close to you, that is maybe struggling with things at work or in their personal life, and that really could, get some inspiration from this. And I would also really like to invite you to reach out to me if you're working for a company and you are really interested in my programs and in my workshops. I am doing a lot of 60-minute and 90-minute workshops on a couple of these topics that we're talking about in the podcast: time management, setting boundaries, burnout, self-care, forgiveness, mindset, how to navigate change, all of these different things. Those are workshops that I'm actually offering in a condensed, very interactive way to corporate clients as well. So if you are working for a company and you think, wow, this would be so valuable to my team, this would be so valuable to my company, I would really, really love to hear from you. So if you are interested, just send me an email and we can start chatting about all of these different opportunities and really helping your teams grow and prevent burnout in the long run. I think that's really all I wanted to share with you. As I said, I'm super excited about 2022. If you have been listening to the podcast for a while, I would also really, really appreciate it if you would leave me a review on iTunes. This is really helpful in order to expand the podcast, have more people find it. And I would love to hear from you, of course, right? Feedback is a gift, and I don't honestly receive a lot of feedback very regularly. So I would really appreciate it if you would just take 2 minutes to write a little review on iTunes about the podcast and how it served you over the last few years. And I would also really appreciate it if you would share the podcast with someone that you love, and share the podcast with someone where you're like, they could definitely use some of these tools in order to create a more sustainable life for themselves. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And I wish you happy holidays and a wonderful end of your year and a really exciting new year 2022. Take care, and I'm really excited to hear you again in the next year. With love, Julia.